Right, so Tommy Robinson has been treated very poorly in prison. But first of all, let's talk about his conviction. Well, I suppose we should start from the beginning. If some of you don't know who Tommy Robinson is, he is a journalist now who is trying to highlight these horrible rape gangs of innocent children. And he's trying to highlight this to the British public because he feels the police isn't doing much about it, or has not been doing much about it for a very long time. Anyway, he was doing a blog one day outside Leeds Crown Court, and he was obviously filming the people going in and was saying they were alleged rapists. Not saying they were. But the judge more or less had him arrested initially for a breach of the peace that became contempt of court, brought before him, and the judge was Jeffrey Marsden QC, and decided to sentence Tommy to 13 months in prison. Sent him to prison more or less instantly, and that was Prison Hull in Leeds. Relatively safe for Tommy because it didn't have a huge amount of Muslims in it that obviously don't like him and would like to kill him if they had the chance. So obviously he was transferred to Honley, Warwickshire, where there was a higher amount of Muslims in there that didn't like him, and they did want to kill him, there's no doubt about that. He was put in solitary confinement for his own safety. They used that as an excuse to keep him in solitary confinement for at least 2 months. And the stories that are coming out is from Tommy's own mouth, that is, so it's from him directly, where he was on the bottom floor and it was very hot, but he couldn't open his window because prisoners that hated him would spit at him through the window, or even try and put shit through his window. So it wasn't obviously very nice, and most people would consider that an assault. Also through the little hole in his door, where prisoners, where prison guards would be able to view him, make sure he's safe. Prisoners were allowed to walk past and throw abuse at him, and it was insinuated that his food that was prepared by prisoners was poisoned. So Tommy decided to make the decision not to eat any food. Clearly that's not great for your health. So he had about £12 he could spend in prison a week, and he chose to spend that mainly on 5 tins of tuna and some fruit, and that's what sustained him. However, most people can do the maths. 5 doesn't go into 7, does it? So he left prison when he finally got released and the appeal was successful, £40 lighter. It's also come to light that his door was purposely left unlocked on 3 occasions. I think that's some prison guards who might be friendly or paid off by certain prisoners, an attempt to try and get in there and kill Tommy possibly. Also his meetings with his lawyers and his family was cut short. In fact, 1 meeting was cancelled and 2 other meetings were cut in half. That's why the appeal was allowed and was successful, because he wasn't given proper access to his lawyers and he was given extra time because of that. I still wonder today why Tommy didn't appeal on the very first day he got sent down. I still don't understand that to this very day. Maybe Tommy can enlighten us one day why he decided to wait so long. Maybe he thought he was guilty and he was willing to accept his punishment. I don't know. However, the fact that he has received such heinous abuse in prison is so terrible. And what I would like to say to Jeffrey Marsden QC, the judge that sent him down, is you should be taken to court for wrongfully imprisoning Tommy Robinson, because you failed to follow procedure. You didn't give him access to his lawyer. You didn't give him time to consider his actions. He didn't even understand what he was being charged with. So I feel that his treatment in prison is a travesty. His treatment in prison is akin to what you might find in Russia or Iran or a prison in Syria or even Guantanamo Bay in America, where it's technically speaking out of the borders of America, so they can get away with treating people quite poorly. But even in Guantanamo Bay, they are fed really well and treated not inhumanely. They have access to fields to play football. So I would say Guantanamo Bay prisoners were treated 100 times better than Tommy Robinson was. The reason I wanted to do this video is highlight how he was treated in prison, and it's a disgrace to the prison service. But two questions need to be answered. Two questions need to be asked. One question is, who sent Tommy from Hull Prison to Honley? Who made the decisions about his life within the prison service? And will anything come or any retribution happen for that person? I personally believe Tommy Robinson should be entitled to some compensation for how he's been treated, because clearly the rule of law has not been followed here. The second thing I wish to debate here is Jeffrey Marsden QC, judge that sent him down in Leeds. Will any consequences happen to him for his complete disregard for procedure, law, common decency, and giving him a fair trial, or a fair hearing at the very least? Don't forget that Jeffrey Marsden QC only watched 10 minutes of Tommy's live stream on Facebook. He didn't watch the entire 70 minutes. How can you judge someone if you don't know what the evidence is? This is the purpose of this video, to ask those questions. Maybe many of you people out there who do watch my videos would possibly like to make some comments in the comments box. Tell me what you feel. Do you think Tommy should sue the government for how he's been treated? Clearly he's going to have a rehearing soon, possibly in September, and I suspect he'll probably have a fairer hearing. Even if he does go to prison, goes back to prison, I can't see him serving more than 2 months. And even if he does go back into prison, I think it potentially could be back to the prison called Hull HMP near Leeds. I can't see him putting him back into Honley, Warwickshire prison, because of how he's been treated.